Speaking of nostalgia, the rumor this week, and it seemed pretty widely reported, is that the New Orleans Pelicans, and this has been hinted before, but the rumors were started most strongly this week. The New Orleans Pelicans are willing to trade Jrue Holiday, former Sixer Jrue Holiday, beginning of the process trade Jrue Holiday. He has one guaranteed year left at $25 million. He has a player option after that left for $25 million that one would imagine that he will decline. He's 30. I guess your initial thoughts about the Sixers being involved for getting Jrue Holiday, trading for Jrue Holiday.
Love Jrue. Drew's great. Exactly kind of prototypical person you would want to be the third guy with Simmons and Embiid as a guard. The guard that can get his own shot, that can shoot off the catch, that just like a good team guy, plays defense, like fun in transition. It's kind of everything. Kind of just really the exact thing you want. I think Jrue is, no one's going to confuse Jrue with the top 20 player, but in that 30 to 40 range, really good fit here. It'd be great, and it'd be fitting in a circular type of way with the process and now Daryl Morey being back. I don't think that if the Pelicans were trying to make the best trade, I don't think that the best trade comes from Philadelphia.
So that is the concern. I agree with just about everything you said. And the other thing about Jrue Holiday is that, he played he can play off ball some. Remember, he played with Rondo. He's not a particularly ball dominant point guard, though he can do everything a point guard can do. He does tend to settle for long twos sometimes, and he's not as good a 3-point shooter as you think he is, but he is good. I like him a lot.
I've been just yelling for a George Hill, a version of George Hill for years now, and Jrue has that kind of level with obviously better ball handling ability and younger. That's the fit that you're looking for.
So then I listened to a friend of the Ricky, Zach Lowe. We made him big, obviously, here on the Ricky, and Bobby Marks. They were talking about the Jrue Holiday trade. And this goes back to what you said about if they're looking for the best deal for Jrue Holiday, it's not coming from the Sixers. The things that they were talking about is trades for Jrue Holiday. And to be fair, Zach Lowe did not say that the Warriors would do this, but they brought up the idea of Wiggins and the 2 pick for Jrue Holiday. And they're talking about trades that involve, like they were talking about Karis LeVert, who is a really good player on a great contract. I was sort of shocked. I think Jrue Holiday is good. I wonder if people think he's better than I think he is. He's good. I like him. I would like to have him. But in what world should Jrue Holiday be talked about in that respect, I guess? It just doesn't seem like Karis LeVert has the chance of being, I think, a top 20 player, actually. I think he does. The number 2 pick seems like a crazy idea, even if you're getting off the Wiggins contract. Is he overrated? Is he I don't know. Don't those trades sound crazy to you?
No. Karis LeVert also is older than you think he is. He is.
He's
only like 3 years younger than Jrue, and while he's on a good deal, he's got 3 years this coming season and 2 more years on his deal. And Jrue is kind of an expiring contract. I guess it'll depend on what the salary situation is or how his year is. If he has a great year, you got to expect he'll probably opt out, but maybe not. As far as the draft goes, look, I like Karis LeVert, always have. I don't think he's capable of being a top 20 player. I just don't think he's that level of player. I think he's good. I think he's helpful, but I'd be interested to see how high his ceiling goes. As far as the draft goes, it's a bad draft class at the top. There's interesting guys for sure, and I'm sure one of them is going to pop and stuff, but people are talking about James Wiseman at 1 or Obi Toppin in that area and Anthony Edwards, and I think LaMelo Ball is really interesting. Killian Hayes is really interesting. Denny Avdia is really interesting. But like the idea of a top pick is always so much more tantalizing than when the pick has been made. Because you're almost like adding up all the possibilities from all of these guys. On the level of, hey, you could draft this guy and if he's a stud, he's under team control for relatively inexpensive for 9 years. Just his rookie contract, and then if you hypothetically give him the first max you can give him if he's that level of player. But from a player standpoint, the difference between, the first pick and the 9th pick in this draft is very minimal because it's super swimmy as to where everybody's going to go. There's no consensus 1, 2, 3, whatever. If you told me, and we'll talk about this on Wednesday when we do a more draft podcast, but if you said, hey, you can draft give me 15 to 29 and you'll take 1 to 10. And I think I would be able to I think overall I'd be able to make a better team. I think I would be able to have more useful contributors there because people are just trying for home runs at the top of the draft. And in a draft where there's not many home runs, I think a lot of them are going to be bad or at least like kind of like semi-useless or take a long time to become something that maybe becomes something. Because someone with potential after as a freshman is, oh my God, look at all this potential. But those people exist as seniors, you know what I mean? As they maybe could one day become as good as this guy who's a senior who's good. As I'm not saying I've always been like a draft for potential guy. So if you have it and you see it there, then go for it. But some of these guys aren't good right now and have a lot of weak spots to the game. And maybe they get there, maybe they grow and stuff. But it's just not a great draft class. And so the idea of if you're the Warriors and you're like, well, I mean, maybe you're trying to. Zach was talking about like getting a transitionary piece, like finding your Kawhi Leonard that the Spurs drafted towards the end of their run. And I guess you got to take those shots. And I'm not saying you have to use it on Jrue, but for 1 year, I guess it's a little bit short-sighted maybe as far as what you can get out of it. But I do think that Jrue is very good. And if you want to win a title as a Warriors, like you're not crazy to try to trade. Like if there was a world where you traded number 2 for Jrue and like 11 or something, I would do that in a second. Like not close.
Yeah, I agree with you in that what draft picks are worth as an idea as opposed to a person, aside from the top pick, which is.
But it's just not there this year.
Yeah, I guess people say that every year. Or not every year. People say that a lot. I still think the idea of getting whatever player you want is like pretty valuable, I guess. I don't know. I think we mostly agree. The idea of doing it for 1 year of Jrue Holiday. Also, this is not a Warriors podcast, but having Jrue Holiday would make them better. But like they do have 2 pretty good guards on the team. You know?
But Clay can be the 3. That's not and Jrue can cover guys that are taller than him and stuff. I'm not concerned as like a fill a role guy. If that team, if it's Jrue, I don't know what they're doing with Wiggins, but if it's Jrue, Steph, Clay, Draymond, like that's a really impressive team.
Yeah. So
as far as the Sixers go, though, I would certainly try to do some level of, if for whatever reason the Pelicans, who had a really bad defense last year, if they value like we need a stable type of guy next to Zion. They had Derek Favors this year, and he was good, and they were better when he was on the court. But if they don't think that's right, or he doesn't want to be there, or whatever it is, and they want Horford for some reason, anything, whatever it takes, like Horford and picks and whatever for Jrue, like absolutely. I just don't know what the Pelicans want. Like honestly, I think that they should keep Jrue. Like I think the answer there is, like I think I'm a Lonzo guy.
I think they're just dangling it out there to see if anyone really, really, really wants him.
But it's weird because they're like, if you're talking about LeVert, like they have Brandon Ingram, who I don't really like, who is already that kind of guy, like stare your defender down for a while and like take an 18-footer. They have Zion. Like they need shooters and guys who are willing to work off the ball. And so that's Jrue, and that's also not guys that the Sixers necessarily have.
Would you trade? I have 2 trades. The other one isn't going to happen, and neither of them are going to happen. Just want to throw them out at you. Would you trade Ben Simmons for Jrue Holiday and JJ Redick.
No.
Would you trade?
Those are two expiring contracts, basically.
Redick has 2 years left, I believe.
He gave him a 3-year deal? I thought it was a 2-year deal that they gave him.
No, I'm pretty sure it was 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then would you trade Shake Milton, Josh Richardson, the OKC pick, and the Sixers pick next year, and then Mike Scott for money reasons? Would you trade that for Jrue Holiday?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
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 I obviously love Shake, but yeah, probably. I would imagine they would rather have, maybe not, but I'd rather. I would still think that Matisse still has higher value around the
Milton.
league. Yeah, even though Shake is at this point more necessary for this team, I think people look at Matisse and start to their eyes get big.
But you would do it if it was Thibault instead of Milton there, right?
Yeah.